Hashtag voiceover script 7 Psychological Habits of Self-Made Millionaires Delivery Style. Calm, conversational like you're explaining this to a smart friend over coffee, not reading a textbook. Use the pauses, they are part of the performance, not gaps to rush through. Slow down on the bolded lines. Hashtag hook 8000452 Two people start the exact same job, on the exact same day, with the exact same salary. 10 years later, one of them is financially free. Multiple income streams. Real assets. Zero money stress. The other? Still drowning in debt. Still living paycheck to paycheck. Same starting point. Completely different ending. So was it luck? Better family? Higher IQ? Sometimes. But that's not the real answer. Psychologists have studied self-made millionaires for decades, and one pattern keeps showing up. It's not what they earn. It's how they think. A handful of mental habits, repeated daily, is what quietly separates the two people in this story. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to break down 7 of them habits you can actually start building today. Hashtag introduction H045130. Before we get into the 7 habits, let's answer one question first. What exactly is a psychological habit? Simply put, it's a repeated way of thinking that shapes how you make decisions. Just like brushing your teeth becomes automatic over time, your thoughts can become automatic too. The way you react to money, to success, to failure, to risk, none of that is random. It's usually the result of mental patterns you've built up over years, often without even noticing. Here's something most people get wrong. They assume financial success is only about earning more. But income? That's only half the story. 2 people can earn the exact same salary and still end up in completely different financial futures because they think differently about spending, saving, investing, and solving problems. Your mindset works like an invisible filter. It decides whether you see opportunities or obstacles, whether you invest in your future or chase instant gratification, whether you give up after a setback or learn from it and keep moving. And here's the thing, these small decisions compound. One choice might feel insignificant in the moment, but thousands of those choices, made over months and years, that's what actually changes the direction of your life. Now, let's be clear about something. These habits aren't magic. They won't make you a millionaire overnight. Wealth is shaped by a lot of things: education, opportunity, economic conditions, sometimes even luck. But decades of research in psychology and behavioral economics keep pointing to the same truth. How you think has a massive impact on the decisions you make. And those decisions, over time, shape your entire financial life. So as we go through these 7 habits, don't think of them as secret tricks. Think of them as tools. Mental tools that help you make better decisions, avoid the mistakes most people make, and slowly build something that lasts. Let's start with the first one. Hashtag habit. Hashtag 1. Delayed gratification. 13240. The first habit shared by many self-made millionaires is delayed gratification. The ability to say no to a small reward today for a much bigger one later. Sounds simple. It's actually one of the hardest skills to master. Our brains are wired for instant pleasure. A new phone, designer clothes, online shopping, a luxury car. All of it gives you a quick hit of excitement. But that feeling? It fades in days, sometimes weeks. The financial cost, though, that can last for years. People who build real wealth think differently. Instead of asking, what do I want today? They ask, what will actually benefit me 5-10 years from now? You've probably heard of the Marshmallow Experiment, Walter Mischel's famous study. Kids were given a choice: eat 1 marshmallow right now, or wait a bit and get 2. Researchers found that, on average, the kids who could wait tended to do better academically and in life years down the road. Now, later research showed a lot of other factors play into this too, but the experiment still became a powerful symbol of one thing: self-control shapes long-term outcomes. Money works the exact same way. Picture 2 people. Both get a $1,000 bonus. The first spends it in a weekend, new phone, designer clothes, a nice trip. A few weeks later, it's gone. No trace of it. The second person? They put that same $1,000 into a skill, a small business idea, or a long-term investment. No instant thrill. No dopamine hit. But years later, that decision might be worth 10 times more. Maybe 100 times more. This is how self-made millionaires think. They understand something most people miss: today's sacrifice can become tomorrow's freedom. And to be clear, delayed gratification doesn't mean never enjoying your money. It means learning to prioritize what actually matters long-term over what just feels good right now. Every time you choose your future over instant comfort, you're building one of the most powerful habits behind real financial success. #habit. #2 taking responsibility. H2 4350. The second habit? Taking full responsibility for your life. Now, this doesn't mean pretending life is fair. It isn't. Some people are born into wealth. Others grow up struggling. Some get better education, better opportunities, stronger support systems. These differences are real. They matter. But successful people ask a different question. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" they ask, "What can I actually do about it?" Psychologists call this your locus of control. People with an external locus of control believe outside forces run their life: luck, the economy, their boss, the government. When something goes wrong, they look for someone to blame. People with an internal locus of control think differently. They know they can't control everything, but they can always control how they respond. Think about two employees, both passed over for the same promotion. The first one gets angry, blames office politics, complains the system is rigged, convinces himself success is impossible here. Months go by. Nothing changes because all his energy is spent on things he can't control. The second employee? Also disappointed. But instead of staying stuck, he asks the harder questions. What skills am I missing? How do I become more valuable? Should I get certified? Improve how I communicate? Look elsewhere? A year later, he's learned new skills, increased his value, and either earned that promotion or landed a better job somewhere else. The difference wasn't luck. It was mindset. This isn't about ignoring unfairness or pretending obstacles don't exist. It's about refusing to let those obstacles become your excuse. You can't control the cards you're dealt, but you can always control how you play them. The moment you stop waiting for someone else to change your life and start owning your own decisions, you become far more capable of creating your own opportunities. #habit. #3 thinking in probabilities. 355 low. Habit number 3, thinking in probabilities instead of chasing certainty. Most people wait until they feel completely sure before making a big decision. I'll start the business once I know it can't fail. I'll invest once I'm certain the market's going up. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. Certainty doesn't exist. Not for you, not for me, not even for the world's best investors or entrepreneurs. Nobody can predict the future with 100% accuracy. So instead of asking, "Can I guarantee this works?" self-made millionaires ask something different. Based on what I know right now, what gives me the best odds? That's thinking in probabilities. Accepting the uncertainty and still making the smartest move you can with the evidence in front of you. Take business. The average person with a great idea will spend years overthinking every detail, waiting for the perfect moment, too scared to take the first step. An entrepreneur with a probability mindset does something different. They research the market, understand the customer, calculate the risks, then they launch small. Get feedback. Improve, adjust. They know it might not work exactly as planned, but they also know they'll learn something valuable either way and improve their odds with every attempt. Same thing with investing. Most people avoid it because they're scared the market might drop tomorrow. Smart investors know markets go up and down in the short term. That's normal. Instead of trying to predict every swing, they trust the long-term probability that diversified investments tend to grow over time. Now, don't confuse this with gambling. A gambler hopes for luck without understanding the odds. Pure emotion. Pure impulse. Someone taking a calculated risk does the opposite. They gather information, weigh the reward against the downside, prepare for setbacks, and only risk what they can actually afford to lose. That's why successful people never bet everything on one idea. They test, they measure, they adapt. Because wealth isn't built by people waiting for perfect certainty. It's built by people who keep making thoughtful decisions, even when the future isn't guaranteed. #habit. #4 lifelong learning. H5610 habit 4, a genuine commitment to lifelong learning. One of the biggest myths out there? That education ends the day you graduate. In reality, school might get you your first job, but continuous learning is usually what grows your income, builds your wealth, and opens doors for the rest of your life. The world doesn't stay still. New technology, new industries. Skills that were valuable 10 years ago can be outdated today. People who stop learning fall behind. People who keep learning keep growing. That's why self-made millionaires see learning as an investment, not an expense. They don't ask, how much does this book cost? They ask, what could this teach me and how might it change my future? Here's where it gets powerful. Knowledge compounds. Just like money. Imagine learning just one useful idea every single day. One idea improves how you communicate. Another helps you negotiate a better salary. A third teaches you to manage money better. Small on their own. But stack them over months, years, and you've built a level of expertise most people never reach. That's why successful people read, listen to podcasts, find mentors, stay curious. They know every new skill increases their ability to solve bigger problems, and bigger problems create more value. And value is what creates income. Someone who learns to code can build software. Someone who masters marketing can grow a business. A great salesperson can generate millions in revenue. A strong leader can build entire teams. These aren't just skills, they're assets, ones that keep generating opportunity year after year. But here's the good news, this isn't about studying for hours every day. It's about consistency. 10 pages of a book, a 20-minute podcast on your commute, one lecture instead of an hour of scrolling, 30 minutes practicing a new skill. Small, but over time, they compound into knowledge, confidence, and greater earning power. Because money can be lost, businesses can fail, but the skills you build, those stay with you forever. #habit. #5 emotional control. 8610-720 habit 5 emotional control. Most people assume financial success comes from making smart decisions. Truth is, it's often just about avoiding the emotional ones. Every single day, we're surrounded by triggers designed to hijack our emotions. Flash sales, limited time offers, influencers flexing their lifestyle, headlines screaming that the market's about to crash. All of it is built to make you react instantly instead of think clearly. Think about the last time you bought something you didn't actually need. Maybe a huge sale. Maybe you saw someone with the latest phone or a new pair of shoes and felt that pull. That wasn't necessity. That was emotion. The excitement lasted a day. The credit card bill lasted a lot longer. You see the same pattern in investing. When markets rise and everyone seems to be winning, people get greedy, they jump in, scared of missing out. Then prices drop, and fear takes over. They panic. They sell at a loss. Ironically, they buy high and sell low. The exact opposite of what smart long-term investors actually do. Self-made millionaires know emotions are normal, but they don't let emotions run the show. Instead, they build systems that keep them calm. A long-term investment plan instead of reacting to headlines. Never making big decisions while angry or frustrated. Stepping back. Gathering information first. One simple trick, a lot of them use the 24-hour rule. Before a big purchase, wait a full day. If it still feels worth it tomorrow, buy it. More often than not, the urge fades, and you realize you never needed it. Or just ask yourself one question before spending: am I doing this because of logic or emotion? That one question alone can save you from a lot of financial mistakes. The goal was never to eliminate emotion completely, that's impossible. The goal is making sure your emotions don't control your future. Because in the long run, the people who stay calm during uncertainty are usually the ones who come out ahead. Habit 7 opportunity-focused thinking. H839-30 the seventh and final habit: opportunity-focused thinking. Most people naturally notice the problem first. A tough economy, rising prices, more competition, and they immediately conclude there's just no way to succeed right now. Successful people see the exact same challenges, but they ask a different question. Instead of why is this happening, they ask, where's the opportunity hiding inside this problem? That one shift in perspective can completely change the direction of someone's life. Think about some of the biggest businesses in the world. Long taxi wait times? That led to ride-sharing. Complicated online payments? That inspired simpler payment platforms. People struggling to learn new skills? That built the entire online education industry. These founders didn't succeed by ignoring problems. They succeeded because they saw a solution where everyone else just saw an inconvenience. Same thing happens in careers. Imagine a company introduces AI to automate part of a job. One employee panics, complains that technology is taking over, spends months worrying without doing anything. The other asks, how do I learn this? What new skills will matter now? How do I position myself? A year later, one is still anxious about losing their job. The other has new skills, more value in the market, maybe even a raise. Same challenge. Two completely different outcomes. Not luck. Mindset. Opportunity-focused thinkers also understand something important. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of the process. When something doesn't work, they don't just say I failed. They ask, what did this teach me? How do I improve next time? Every setback becomes feedback. Every mistake becomes a lesson. This doesn't mean pretending everything is fine when it's not. Some problems are genuinely serious. Some setbacks really hurt. But even then, successful people train themselves to focus on what they can build, improve, or learn, instead of staying stuck on what went wrong. Because in the end, wealth isn't created by people who wait for perfect conditions. It's created by people who learn to see possibility where everyone else only sees an obstacle. Conclusion H93010. So, here's what we've learned today. Becoming financially successful isn't just about how much you earn, it's about how you think. Wealth starts in the mind, long before it ever shows up in a bank account. These habits won't make you rich overnight. There's no shortcut, no magic formula. But repeated daily, they shape the decisions you make, and over time, those decisions can completely change your financial future. Let's do a quick recap. 1. Delayed gratification. Choosing long-term reward over short-term pleasure. 2. Taking responsibility. Focusing on what you can control. 3. Thinking in probabilities. Making calculated moves instead of waiting for certainty. 4. Lifelong learning. Because knowledge compounds just like money. 5. Emotional control. Not letting fear or greed make your decisions for you. 6. Identity-based habits. Becoming the kind of person who naturally makes smart financial choices. And 7. Opportunity-focused thinking. Seeing possibility where others only see a wall. So here's your challenge. Don't try to overhaul your entire life tonight. Just pick one of these habits. Focus on it this week. Maybe it's 10 pages of a book each day. Maybe it's waiting 24 hours before an unnecessary purchase. Or maybe it's simply catching yourself and asking, what can I do about it? Instead of, why is this happening to me? Small changes feel insignificant today. But repeated consistently, they create extraordinary results. Success was never built on one big decision. It's built on hundreds of small ones, made consistently over months and years. So tell me, which of these 7 habits do you already have, and which one are you building next? Drop it in the comments. I read as many as I can. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. Here, we dig into the psychology